Okay, well here we are, our second class for 3D art. And today I'm going to remind you of a couple things I forgot to tell you about last week because we were getting so excited about our cubes. Oh, I see, Atara has arrived in library, okay.
I'll get that.
Well, anyway, we talked about how to move our pieces around. Now, all you guys that know how to build, I know this is going to get boring for you, but really listen in because you might hear something that you never heard of before. I'm going to try and go through everything possible here. So anyway, we talked about moving the cubes, the panels around to make a cube. And we were clicking the left and right and the up and down and the forward and back buttons to make it move. Every time you click, you move it 1/2 meter in the 3D environment here. But in order for you to move it a smaller distance, because you're always going to have small objects that are going to sit on tables that need to be just tweaked just right so they're just in the right place. They're not too high up or sunk in. What you do is right-click your object and just hold down your Shift key and then move it. Then it will only move about 5 centimeters at a time. And you can try that by, if you still have something on your lot, either a pole or a panel, just right-click that panel and then hold down your Shift key and then use the right and left, up and down, forward and back buttons and to move it around. Just an experiment. And you'll see that it only goes a small amount, just enough that you can see it move. And that's a good way to make things fit together better, move small objects and that sort of thing. You can also then, if you need it, even if a shift click is too far, then hold down Shift and the control key. Make sure you click the object first before you hold down the control key. But when you have them both held down and click, it goes such a small amount you can barely see it move. But it gives you that control where you can move things tiny amounts. So I wanted to make sure you guys all understood that and give it a quick try on just one of your pieces if you haven't done it before. Here's another couple things we wanted to tell you to do when we first start a build. Now all these poles were lined up properly and I clicked all the right buttons, so when you made your copies they were straight. But sometimes when you copy an object, let's say in logos at your lot, and you're copying an object and you're bringing it over to start something to build, you want to make sure that you click on those last 2 buttons on the right side of the column. I'm going to run up to the front and show you on the big board up here. These last 2 buttons here, there's one with kind of green lines around it and another one with a cube with little arrows sticking out. These 2 here, the first object that you create when you're starting to make a construction, you're going to want to click both of these buttons because the object that you copied from might have been rotated a little bit or tilted down or maybe not exactly in the flat open grid pattern. What that does is it clears out all the rotation that's in your first object, and that will put it right into the 1/2 meter grid that's part of the 3D grid in here. And then after you do that, you might have to rotate it, especially if it's a panel and you might need to rotate it 90 degrees. You can then rotate it and it'll be nice and straight and everything will fit together for you properly. So that's something you got to always remember. I see so many constructions and logos where things are overlapped and they're tilted, walls are tilted a little bit, and that's because they didn't do that. So I wanted to clear that up, just make sure we remember that from last week's lesson. We didn't get that in. So let's start on this week's lesson finally. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys, you're going to get a little practice in changing object names. We're going to put doors and windows on your cube, and we're going to put doors in the doorway, and I'm going to show you guys how to make the doors open. There's several different ways, and it depends on the type of construction you make, how you want to make your doors open. But let's start with, we want to make one of your walls a doorway. Now this set, this PP0001 object is part of a big set, and all of them start with P for panel. And the PP simply means panel. It's, you know, it's in the panel series, and it's the panel, the flat panel. But if you just right click one of your objects and change the second P to a D as in dog, no, don't delete your box. We're going to change walls into windows and doorways. So click on one of the sides of your box, and then in the model box, change it from PP01 to PD01. PD01, just like that. And you'll see once it changes over, you just have to change that second P to a D. So, and you got a doorway. And that's the doorway object that's in this set. Pretty nice, huh? Now, of course, now you're going to want a window in your house. I mean, who needs a house without any windows? So on one of your other walls, or maybe even two of them, right-click and change the PP to PW, PW01, and you will have a window panel. We're just kind of going through the basics here, guys, so please try to stick with me. So, okay, looks like everybody's got it. Well, of course, now you got a doorway and you don't have a door. What are you going to do? Well, here's the best thing to do is to put a door object in. So I'm going to type in the chat here in 3DU what I need you to do is to just right-click your doorway, your PD01, and duplicate it. And then, of course, when you duplicate it, it always clicks away from you once, so or forward once, so you want to click it back so it's the same place as the doorway. And then go up to the model box and type in, or you can copy and paste in this name as soon as I can remember what it's called. Oh, yeah. G-Door 7. So right-click on your doorway panel and duplicate it, and then move it forward so it is even with the original doorway. Then just go up to the model box and change it to G-Door 7. I think I messed up your object there.
The door's too small.
Oh, I see. You just change it to a door. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. We'll get to that. To get your model box back, just right-click something, and then there should be a plus next to where it says object. Yeah, you probably didn't duplicate it, Ashley. You probably just changed the original door to the doorway to the door. So you have to actually duplicate your doorway, your PD01 first, then change that duplicate to the door. So when you've got the object properties box up, there's a plus sign next to object, the red on the left. If you click that, that will open up and you'll see the model name then. Can you hear me okay, Liam? Are you the one that said you couldn't see the model box? Oh, you found it? Okay, okay. So what happened here, Ocean, and I think Ashley too, is you forgot to duplicate your PD doorway wall, and you just changed it into a door instead of duplicating and then changing the duplicate. You see what I mean? That's why you've just got a door and the wall. Probably the easiest thing to do, Ocean and Ashley, if you haven't done already, just right-click your back wall, the one that's all the way in the back, and duplicate that, and then click it forward. But it'll have to be 9 clicks because it's normally 8, but it's clicked away when you duplicate it. So click it back 9 clicks, and then change it to a PD 01. So just right-click your back wall, duplicate it, and then move it forward. There you go. Oh, well, it looks like you changed your door back into, okay. Now, what you need to do, Ocean, is right-click that PD wall and duplicate that wall, and then type in the G-Door 7 into the duplicate model box, and then you'll have a separate door. So those of you that have a door, you probably noticed that it doesn't quite fit in the doorway. It's a little off to one side. This is where you're going to...
I just had to move it.
Yeah, this is where you're going to use your right-click the object and then hold Shift down and click it just a little bit until it gets lined up properly into the door frame. So we're getting a little more complicated here. And it looks like, Ocean, you can click your door one more click forward. It looks like it's still a 1 click back inside. Just click it 1 click forward, and then no, you did a shift click. You should have done a normal click. Okay, I'll tell you what here, just for time's sake. There, I got it lined up. Now you'll have to click it, and just click it a shift click or two to the left, and it should be all lined up in your doorway. So everybody got their door in. How about you, Ashley? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, there you go. You had that shift click. There you go. Cool. Everybody's got a door. Okay. Now we're going to do a little bit of coding. I know that we did the create color and color name and create texture and texture name last week. We didn't really talk about how coding works, how we type stuff in that action box to make things do stuff like show a texture or a color or rotate or move and all that kind of good stuff. So you may not follow everything here, but I'm going to show you up on the wall here. I think, did I make this? I'm going to make this global. Oops, there we go. I have a big board up here, and shortly, okay, there we go. It's nothing fancy, but I just wanted to quickly read through this to tell you how we put together what we call triggers and then the commands that happen after the triggers. The triggers, every code that you put in an action box always has to start with a trigger, because a trigger tells everything after it what to do, or how to start, I should say. So, for instance, remember that we put in create, color, and red or whatever. These are the 3 triggers that we're going to start all of our action boxes with. Every action box that we make in an object, it's always going to start with one of these 3 triggers: create, bump, or activate. And basically what create says is any commands that are listed after create, commands are the things that actually do the work. It causes all the commands that are listed after it to execute. when the object is visible. So so if you put create color red, as soon as that object's visible to a user, it's going to show red. And that's what create does. It says create the color red on this object. Now bump is another trigger. We can use all the same commands with after it, but we do it with bump. I can say, for instance, bump color red, and I can put that in an object, and then it won't look red even if it's visible. It'll only look red if you happen to bump into it with your avatar, and then it will turn red. So it's just another way to make all the other commands work. Activate, of course, causes all commands to start after a user clicks it. So activate color red means if you put your mouse on that object and click it, it will turn red. So we've got 3 words that we're going to start all of our coding with in our action boxes, either create, bump, or activate. There are other triggers, and we might talk about some of them, but they have very specific uses only for 1 or 2 things. So I'm not going to spend the time trying to explain them in class. We can maybe talk to them one-on-one later if you'd like to. They're not part of the course, though. So it's just these 3 that we're going to worry about. So just in summary, because I'm not even going to try and go into really much more detail, but this is how we're going to type words into our action boxes. So let's try something with a rotate command. Let's go back to our houses, and let's go to the, just go right up to your door, and we're going to start with, we've already done create. We said create color and create texture on our boxes. So let's do activate this time. We use the trigger activate. Just right-click on your door and type in the following code that I put in for you here. So I typed in to the box, activate rotate, and then a space, 15, another space, time equals 1, and weight equals 5. And we'll talk about that time and weight here in a second. But go ahead and get that code typed into your, the action box of your door, in your doorway. No, in the action box. The action box is where we put all of the action coding like this. The description box is for typing text if it's a sign or if you want it to pop up when you mouse over it. Yeah. So just make sure you have the words activate, rotate, 15, time equals 1, weight equals 5. And once you do that, once you have that typed in the action box of your door, you can put your mouse over your door, and if it's typed in correctly, the mouse will change to a hand, and when you click it, your door will rotate open. And I'll wait for anyone to just either chat in 3DU that you're having a problem or whatever. Oh yeah, if you duplicate, if your door already has a texture in it, like create texture from your wall that you duplicated from, just clear that out like Ocean did. She cleared all that out of her action box so it wouldn't be in there. Oh, I see what you did. Okay. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take out the create texture rainbow that was in there. I forgot that that might be in there. We just want the activate rotate. So I just took that out for you there, Ocean. So now if you put your mouse over your door.
It's not open for me.
Who's speaking? Who's that?
Natani.
Natani, let me find Natani here. I think you were back here. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, you misspelled activate. You need an E on the end of activate. This is digital coding, so it doesn't forgive any kind of typos. Everything that you type must be very, very accurate. It can't be misspelled or... So when you click your door now, it will open. Well, actually, I heard Mr. Holden telling you guys to make sure you keep all your lots tidy. I wanted to make sure to tell you guys that. Try not to cover up what we're trying to do in class, because that's what we need to record. If you're putting trees and shrubs and stuff around your stuff, it's going to make it hard for us to grade each week's work. So, you know, if you want to put a roof on, that's fine, or texture your doors. Now, that was the one last thing I wanted to talk about, and then I'm going to show you guys the object yard for you guys who have not seen it. I think it was Ashley asked, can we put a color on the door? That's another part of coding, and we might as well try it if you want to. It's real easy. We're going to have to use, of course, we're going to have to use create, because create means show the texture or the color when it's visible. So what you do is in your door, right click on it and place a semicolon. That's the period and the comma on top of each other. Right after where it says 5, on weight equals 5, put a semicolon there. Then type in create color, and we spell color the way the Americans do. And I'm just going to say red. So put that after what you've already got in there on your activate, rotate. You leave that in, but put the semicolon, create color red on after it. So your whole line would look like this. I'll type it in the chat here. It'll still have your activate, rotate, 15 time, wait, but then the semicolon is the way you separate different codes in the line that use different triggers. And we're using 2 different triggers. We're using activate on the first part, and then we're using create, the second trigger. So anytime in the code, when you're telling the code, okay, now we have a new trigger, you put the semicolon in. Then you can say create color red, create texture, whatever, you know. And that's how you can pile different commands on top of each other in the same object. Man, I threw a lot of new stuff at the new people really quick. Let's take a little bit of a tour. I want to show you guys how to find our object yard, and I also want to specifically show you the area where all the other pieces that go with these panels, because we've only used 3 of the panels, and there are lots of different ones in this set. So the easiest way from here to get to the object yard is to just look in your right side web page and use the scroll bar on the right edge of that web page and scroll down to where it says object yard. I also have a click link to it right up on the panel up here too.
Just a quick reminder that when you first go in there, you should have your visibility down as low as possible, or your computer could crash.
Right. When you first land in the object yard, make sure that you go up to visibility and make sure it's set for just 30 to start with. So did you guys find the link in the right side web page? If not, we've got one up here. I'll put my red laser on it. You can just click on the object yard I've got up here too. If you click that little blue sign at the bottom of the column there that I'm pointing to, you'll go to the object yard. And just make sure that your visibility, once you land there, your visibility is set to 30. You don't want it to be on float when you're in the object yard. So click that sign.
I am in the object yard, so you may join me.
You guys see it? You guys who are left here in the classroom, can you see the object yard button I'm pointing to? Okay, well, if anybody's still behind, they can join us there. I'm going. Here we go. Now, this area where we're landing in is the beginning of the object yard. It's sort of the directory to the object yard. And what the object yard is, now this is just for you folks who are new, and you know, I'm sorry that I'm boring some of the experienced builders, but you know, you get to have an easy class, at least for a while. But all of these big red signs up on this wall here, these are teleport clicks. And what they'll do is, if you click them, they will teleport you to the areas that they say they are. For instance, let's say you want to find some flowers for your lot and logos. You would click on this red button here, and you will go to the flowers, where I have all of the flowers arranged, where you can easily see them, walk among them, right-click on them. What you do is you simply right-click on the object that you want, and then in the model box, use your mouse to highlight and then just copy that model name. And then you go back to your lot, you duplicate an object on your lot, and then paste that new object name into it. And then you have the object on your lot. So a lot of people ask me that who are new. They say, how do you get the objects from the object yard to the lot? Well, you don't actually take the object. You just take the object name with you, the model name, I should say. So you're walking around in the object yard and you see a rug that you like. Just right-click on the rug, and then in the model box, you know, it will be the name of that object. You can just highlight it and copy it, and then you know, right-click and copy it, and then go back to your lot, make a duplicate, and then paste that new name into the duplicate. I'm kind of repeating this myself on there because that sometimes is a hard concept to at least start thinking about when you're first learning to build. So this is your directory. So I'm going to show you here in just the last few minutes of the class, and then we'll take some questions and anything else that you guys want to know about. I'm going to take you to the object sets area as soon as I can find the, where is that? Object sets. Oh, there it is. Object sets. We're going to go to object sets. That's an area where we've got sets of objects. They're all kind of matched and they all fit together and they're all textured the same and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to click on object sets, the big red button that I'm pointing at. You guys can follow if you want. What I'm going to do is just quickly show you right here at the beginning, when you first land at object sets, you'll see this green walkway, and probably for the next 100 meters or even more, you'll see that all these other pieces that are lined up along this back wall, these are all part of that set, that PP panel set. And you'll see that a lot of them have their own textures. The number on the end, you can change that number. Let's say you've got a PP01 and it's this gray granite, but you would rather have maybe green stone. So all you have to do is change the number to 09, PP09. And PP09, which is right here, has its own different texture. You don't even have to mess with a texture command. And I've got a whole set of all of the panels here that have all their different textures. So let's say maybe you'd rather have a red sandstone look. Then you would just right-click the red sandstone, and that's PP13. And remember, too, that the letters, if you did PD as in doorway 13, then you would have a doorway with that sandstone. So the numbers and the letters both are kind of a series that you can use to use different textured objects. Now all these other objects beyond it that are all the same gray granite, they don't have numbers, different numbers. They're all just 0, 1. You would have to use the texture command on these to make a texture. But these are all different kinds of accessories that go along with the windows and the doorways. We even have a domed archway doorway panel. We've got some wooden doors that fit those arch doorways, and some of these big arches down here, these big thick arches. These are all part of that same PP set, and they all match up, and you could ignore pretty much any other set and just make some fantastic builds with this stuff if you spent the time and the concentration and the planning. A whole bunch of glass back. If you keep following that green, we've got some curved glass, curved walls, curved floors, circular floors. I would encourage you to go ahead and explore around here in the object yard and go to the different sections, see what we have available. Believe me, you'll see something and suddenly you'll say, wow, that's a neat object set, or that's a neat building. I can put that on my lot and do this, this, and this with it. You'll get all kinds of great ideas when you come here. I come in here sometimes when I'm just scratching my head over how I want to start something, and suddenly something just catches my eye and I say, ha, yeah, I can make a castle with that, or I can make a pyramid. Mr. Holden, if you have anything else to say, Ashley's asking me a question privately, so I'll talk to her.
Yeah, not really. Not too much to say. I know for those that are new, if you had trouble keeping up, you see people flying, you press the plus key over to the right of your number pad. Will get you up in the air, and that will get you around faster, as well as holding down the control key and pressing your arrow keys. That will get you running. It's not a bad idea to tour through, as Scott was saying, not only to pique your imagination, but also what it does is it helps to load some of these objects into your cache. So when you're going through some place that are using these objects, your computer recognizes them and pulls it out of your computer rather than the internet.
So if there's no other questions, I guess if Mr. Holden wants to lead us in a prayer at the end, class is over.
Okay, well, before we do that, Scott, there's an assignment, and that has to do with the doors and windows on their lot. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Everybody got everything in, with the exception of maybe Joshua. I think I left Joshua behind because he was logging out and logging back in to get his chat back. So.
Okay. Well.
But everybody had a working door, and
okay. So I will be in to take pictures of that, and I'll need to change all the signs that are out front of your place from assignment number 1 to assignment number 2. So if you want to make sure.
Yeah, I was going to do that when I go back. Yeah.
Okay. If you want to make sure that that's set and ready to go, like the date needs to be changed as well. But I can certainly do that, Scott, and take pictures of everything.
No, I'll just pull those signs up. That's what I plan to do at the end of every class, is put that week's assignment up there. So I'll put those signs up. They're underground, so I'll move them up.
Okay, wonderful. I will try and have this tape up by the end of the weekend, so that anybody who didn't get the instructions can get those as far as the door and windows. But I think most of you are good with that. Okay, let's just bow our heads and just end off in prayer.